Oh, okay. Hi, great people. I am back like I had promised. Today is Monday, the 29th of July. June, huh? Which month are we in? We are in June 2026, and I am so happy to get back to doing this. So, we are in day three of the series of the booklet that I wrote called The Culture of Heaven. And the very word where we derive the culture of heaven from is the Lord's Prayer, where we say, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So the question is, how then do we know God's will that is in heaven so that we can perform it here on earth? All right. So, like I had said in the previous video, day 3 is all about casting crowns. And when you look at Revelations chapter 4, verse 4, the 20 and 4 elders, God has given them gold crowns. And what does the Bible tell us they do? They cast their crowns and fall at his feet, worshipping and singing, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. And that is the call that we have today, even us as Christians, that we are able to cast our crowns and worship at his feet. And in today's age and generation, our crowns could mean so much. It could be education, the degrees, the masters, the doctorates, the diplomas, name it, invaluable skills that we have in the 21st century, posh cars, hefty bank accounts, and we are called to cast our crowns and worship at his feet. Okay, now, like I said, I'll be referencing from um my tablet on the same, because here it is. I figured out it's focusing as expected. So I really love that. Okay. Now, let me read something. If we are determined to practice the culture of heaven here on earth, we have to be willing to cast our crowns. Okay. And this then should come from a place of living it as a lifestyle, a daily call, a constant call, not just when it's convenient, especially even when it's not convenient. God requires that you cast your crowns and worship at his feet. Okay. Now, remember, there is also another lady who taught us how to do that. And in Mark 14:3-9, we have one woman, okay? She had, the alabaster jar with expensive oil. And I really love that the Bible does not say it had oil. It had expensive oil. The 20 and 4 elders, they have gold crowns. Everyone would want a gold crown, okay? Because then, remember, even David decided that he will not offer to God sacrifices that cost him nothing. So that is very imperative. So here she comes with her alabaster jar that has expensive oil. She broke the jar and used the oil to wash the feet of Jesus. Okay? Just how important that is. And remember, this angered Judas so much because he felt that this expensive oil could have been sold and used to help the poor. But the Bible also proceeds to remind us that that was not his aim. Since he was the treasurer, he would have wanted to steal the money. It's all in the Bible, okay? But then, this woman, after washing the feet of Jesus, do you know she used her hair, a beautiful hair, to wipe the feet of Jesus? And the Bible in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 9 says that a woman's hair is a crown. Your hair is your crown. I should okay, let me not talk about my hair. Anyway, I love my hair so much. So her hair is her crown, okay? And she uses it to wipe the feet of Jesus. And you can see that she has this revelation inside of her of what the 20 and 4 elders do, which is casting our crowns and falling at his feet and worshiping at the throne, okay? And the call is for us to choose not to worship your crowns, but rather worship the giver of these crowns. And the giver of these crowns longs for nothing but our worship for him. He loves us so much, and he has no problem with giving us all these crowns. He has no problem with that, and he's promised us each and every good thing, okay? But then also, the call is that we do not get consumed into that. Every form of surrender comes at a cost, okay? Mary, with the expensive oil, understood this, but Judas missed the whole point, okay? And the thing is, majority of us want to set aside a few hours, to worship for the whole week. And that's not it. Every moment of your life, You should make it a lifestyle, okay? The question is, what do you do then for the rest of the week? When you decide, then it can only be for a day. If you decide, then it can only be when you're observing the Sabbath, okay? Do you then go out there? How do you treat your colleagues? How do you treat your employees? Okay, that is a very imperative, call for us to ask ourselves, okay? uh, so let me read this. Worship is a lifestyle. How you treat your colleagues. Do they reckon that you have been with Christ? How you work at the job when no one is looking. Is his kingdom coming when you're alone at your workplace with no boss or supervisor? How you love your wife, for the men. Okay? Do you love her as Christ, who is in heaven, loves the church? His church, which is here on earth, because he is yet to come. All right? For the married women who might be watching this, how you submit to your husband. Do you do it only when it pleases you, or are you surrendered to honoring God with your marriage day in, day out, which is in itself also an act of worship? The Judas of this world will fail to understand why you do such lavish amounts to worship. Okay? The same way Judas could not understand why she would use expensive oil. Okay? The same way she used her hair, and the Bible has told us that a woman's hair is a crown. She used it to wipe the feet of Jesus. Would we be willing to really cast our crowns, okay, and worship Jesus, okay? Would you choose to buy the field? That door keeps banging, and it always, distracts me every time that happens, but it's the wind. Will you who Okay, now, let me read this. Like I said, the Judas of this world would fail to understand then why you do that, okay? The question is, would you choose to buy the field as David decided? Because remember, I mentioned that David did say that he will not, offer to God sacrifices that cost him nothing, okay? So would you choose to buy the field as opposed to taking it for free? Because remember, he had been offered this field for free. The call is that we will faithfully choose to tithe, because we know that we cannot afford to have our salaries and our first fruits take grip. Okay? Take grip and hold us. Yet we know who even gave us these careers and these jobs in the first place. We know whom we've been called to do. And naturally, what comes easy for us is being self-centered. That's why even Eve fell in the book of Genesis. And that's why Paul says that I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. Because then when you allow Christ to live in you, your your self-centeredness goes away. All right, and it even becomes easier to cast your crown. And that's why John said in John chapter 3 verse 30, he must increase, but I must decrease. Okay, so we really have to surrender and offer ourselves as living sacrifices. Okay, if we allow death to self, then it will be easy for us to be abandoned, completely abandoned and sold out to him. Then it becomes easy to cast our $1 million homes, our degrees, our budding careers, our posh cars, our hefty bank accounts, name it, and worship at his feet, choosing to see them as instruments of worship for kingdom purposes and not as self-gratifying things. If anything, where can self really lead to? Self can only lead to distraction. Mark 8:36 says, what would it profit a man to gain the world and lose your own soul? So this chapter is an invitation for us to cast our crowns and worship, to die to self, and to declare that we will decrease so that he might increase. There's a verse that I came across recently, and it not recently, okay, I have always known it, but also it was mentioned in another YouTube channel, and it says, it's Psalms 20 verse 7, and it says, okay, so the call is for us to cast our crowns and worship at his feet. I just noticed that even as I was wrapping this up, we have day 4 coming up, and I have not told you what day 4 is all about. So day 4, it will be about receiving building patterns, okay? And I'll just preempt like I've done in the other videos. So The question is, where do you receive your building patterns from? Noah had to receive building patterns for the ark. Each and every measurement, he had to receive it from God. Same case as the tabernacle. Same case as Solomon building the temple. God gave, the building patterns to David, his father, and his father passed them over to him. So when we say thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, the question is, where are you receiving your building patterns from? So that's what we'll look at tomorrow for day 4, and I pray it will be a blessing to you. I'll see you then. May God bless you and keep you. Let us, choose to cast our crowns and worship at his feet. I really love doing I always love doing this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Kwaheri.